The premise is that everyone deserves a second chance.
Yeah, but with millions of Americans looking for work, should former criminals who have done their time catch a break?
Our government has a responsibility to help prisoners to return as contributing members of their community.
They've absolved themselves of their problem, but the fact is, it's still there.
The United States has more than 2.3 million prisoners, putting more people behind bars than any other country in the world. However, the Department of Justice reports that 97% of people serving time in jail currently will be freed and allowed to assimilate back into our society. The extensive money allocated for prisoners today has led many citizens to believe their tax dollars are being spent on proper rehabilitation of these dangerous people. However, the fact that over half of all criminals return to jail within 3 years of being released suggests otherwise. The high rate of return may be due to a deficiency in the mindset of the government, prisoners, or employers in helping ex-felons return to the American workforce. Establishing financially independent individuals out of a group of people who once disrupted the well-being of society is challenging, but the combined efforts of various entities can aid the creation of promising solutions to end the cycle many prisoners currently encounter. In the 1970s and 1980s, convicts were seen as complete outcasts of society. The common solution back then was to keep prisoners locked up for as long as possible. Isolation was preferable, and the goal was to keep this portion of the population separated from the free world. Society is now more willing to accept prisoners rather than permanently condemn them. They understand that assimilation back into the real world is one of the only ways to reduce recidivism rates and keep the country safe. In 2005, President George W. Bush called for a change in attitudes towards ex-convicts in his Second Chance Act of 2005, Community Safety Through Recidivism Prevention. He claimed that America, as the land of second chances, should offer its prison population another try at being productive citizens. This attitude is one our society has generally shifted towards today. Bush claims that, "We know from long experiences that if they can't find work, a home, or help, they are much more likely to commit more crimes and return to prison." The act focused on 4 main ways of assimilation, one being the issue of ex-convicts acquiring jobs. Its goal in this specific area was to foster communication between places of employment and these released prisoners. Since then, the government has made numerous efforts to attract employers to hire ex-felons. In Obama's jobs plan, if employers hire ex-felons, they receive the benefit of additional tax credits. The federal bonding program provides employers free insurance against the loss of money or property if they hire at-risk employees. Employers can receive benefits between $5,000 and $25,000 through this government program. Another way the government is encouraging companies to hire ex-offenders is through the Workforce Investment Act. This federal law permits states to subsidize on-the-job training costs to employers that hire and train ex-offenders. In addition, employers can obtain between $2,400 and $9,000 each year for each ex-felon they hire through the Work Opportunity Tax Credit. But how effective are these incentives when 60% of ex-prisoners are unemployed 1 year after their release from prison? A majority of people in our society are sympathetic towards the issues ex-convicts face upon leaving jail. According to a poll done by the Prison Policy Initiative, 57% of the population believes that people returning to society from prison experience too many obstacles to living a crime-free life. For many past prisoners, employment is the first step to overcoming these obstacles. Supporters from the Washington Post also note that ex-convicts take the job that no one else wants. Many people who serve time understand how difficult it is to come across any employment and are grateful for any opportunity they are given. As a result, 78% of the population supported funding of the Second Chance Act, indicating that people are generally in favor of government initiatives that support the reentry of prisoners into the workforce. Society also shows their support through nonprofit organizations. Several nonprofit organizations work to support and integrate ex-convicts back into society. Fortune Society's mission is to support successful reentry. The program is about 8 weeks long, and then the participants are placed into permanent jobs. The premise of the organization is to prevent ex-prisoners from going back to their old ways by providing them with jobs. New York City-based Center for Empowerment Opportunities pays transitional jobs for ex-prisoners for a length of 2 years. Community Partners in Action provides support to ex-offenders. The director, Beth Hines, explains that many ex-offenders have little work history, are unskilled, and have no diploma or GED. This organization provides education, mentoring, and job training to ex-offenders while they're employed. Pat Nolan, Vice President of Prison Fellowship, a Christian ministry to prisoners, has made a statement about job rehabilitation. He said that there should not be a preference for someone with a record, but there shouldn't be a permanent black mark against them either, unless we want to condemn them to a life on the margins of society and elicit the behavior that leads to. Despite efforts by the government, employers often feel insecure about hiring people who spent time in jail.
If someone had been convicted of armed robbery or burglary, would you want that kind of person at one of your resorts or your golf clubs or your buildings?
No, I would not want that type of person.
A study done by the University of Wisconsin found that over 40% of employers admitted to probably or definitely not being open to hiring an ex-convict for a job not requiring a college degree. Their criminal records may indicate a lack of trustworthiness, and hiring someone often means relying on them to complete tasks and serve as loyal employees. Employers may be legally liable for any crimes committed by their employees. Ex-convicts are perceived as more inclined to commit a crime while on the job compared to someone without a criminal background. Employers' unwillingness to hire people released from prison may be due to laws put in place by their companies or the government. It is important to remember that in the capitalist society we live in, many companies are forced to focus on profit in order to survive. The potential loss in profit by hiring an employee whose likelihood to steal or produce wrongdoings on the job is sometimes too big of a risk to endure. Many companies are not willing to jeopardize their reputation to help an ex-convict become employed. There are a number of corporations that consider convicts in their hiring process. One major corporation that has placed an emphasis on assisting former prisoners is Electronic Recyclers International.
I just got out of prison. I was trying to find a job, but a lot of people wouldn't give me a job because of my background, being incarcerated.
These two men have John Shigarian to thank. The Electronic Recyclers CEO has hired dozens of ex-convicts and former gang members to work at his plant.
The co-founder and CEO of ERI, John Shigarian, has been hiring ex-felons for the past 20 years and currently has more than 60 individuals who were formerly incarcerated on staff. He believes that most CEOs and HR directors have a good heart and want to help people who need a second chance. But the four-letter F word gets in the way: fear. He also says that many of his employees who were former criminals are amazing human beings. This company is a prime example of how some corporations embrace those with criminal records as a part of society and are willing to reintegrate them into the American workforce.